Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. My name is Chrism, and as usual, we are just going to launch right into this. In many ways, the Kundalini will come to a person when they're completely unprepared. They won't have heard the word before. They will not have they don't know about any of the symptoms. It'll be a completely foreign experience to them. And they will struggle with this for a time. This is what happened to me, and I know this is what happened to some other people that I've worked with. Clearly, a strong percentage of the Kundalini awakened people never were looking for this. They weren't actively seeking this. And I know Santara is another person that has not been actively seeking this, and yet it came upon her. And yet, for the people that are actively seeking this, they are available to this energy as well, and they can come into it with a greater degree of understanding and of grace and of reception and without a lot of the struggle that a person who didn't seek it, may encounter because of the strangeness of what is occurring. And so it's very important for you to understand that you can prepare for this. You can prepare for this. Matter of fact, it is best if you do prepare for this. It is not it'll still come. If it's going to come to you, she's going to come, and that's a fact. But you can prepare for this, and it's important that if you're given the opportunity to make preparations to have this, or to increase what it is you already have, then that is something that you should do. That is something that you should look seriously into doing, because it will make the whole amazing, complicated, simplistic experience so much more understandable to you. The more understanding you have, the more information you have, the more information you have, the more power you have over yourself within this continuum. And so it's very, very important. If you have the ability to make preparations, then you make the preparations. And of course, I'm going to highlight the safety protocols for Kundalini Awakening, which you can reach at KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com. That's the number 1.com. And you go to the left-hand margin, and about the fifth option down, you'll see the safeties. Go ahead and click on that. Then I want you to copy these safeties. I want you to copy these safeties. And copy them a number of times. Put one on the coffee table. Put one in your car. Put one in the bathroom. If you ever read in the bathroom, and put one next to the nightstand. Really begin to do your preparations in a very, very, very real way. Do not let any other kind of self-talk, egotistical self-talk. Oh, I don't need to do this. Oh, I've forgiven all my life. I know how to forgive. Or, oh, well, I think I have plenty of tolerance, and I feel I'm an honest individual, and so, of course, I don't need to do those either. Don't let any kind of self-talk take you away from the practice of the safeties. It becomes a very, very different deal when you're pursuing these types of levels of tolerance or forgiveness or honesty within a Kundalini context, because she's going to push things up to the front of your experience and really, really, really put you to the test with some of these things. And so it's very, very important for a person to do those preparations. Don't think that you have already that you're too advanced to do meditation. Don't think that you're too advanced to do this or that when it comes to the preparations, because you're not. And you won't know that you're not until the Kundalini really kind of puts you on the anvil of itself and begins to hammer out a new body and a new physical being. And it's very important that you do that. So make it an issue with yourself. Make it an issue to do those preparations. If you're asked to surrender to the Kundalini, which you will, surrender everything, every iota of your mind, your body, your soul, every aspect of who you are, and that includes the control of who you are, where you are in your life, what situation you find your life in. I mean, really, really look how you can surrender control of your life to the Kundalini too. And you must remember that the Kundalini really only has your best interests at heart. It's not out to damage you, to hurt you. It may use levels of pain to convince you to go a certain way. So, for instance, if she doesn't want you eating meat, and then you go ahead and eat meat, well, then you may vomit that meat out, and that, for me, a guy like me, that's a painful event. And so she's basically teaching you through those types of scenarios what is appropriate and what is not appropriate at this time in your life inside of the Kundalini equation. Very important for you to pay attention to these things and not to resist. And we all go through resistance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you'll never, ever resist, but for those of you that are having the amazingly audacious opportunity to prepare for this, well, then you take that opportunity and you match the audaciousness of that opportunity with an audacious approach to that opportunity, and that is to really, really embrace what is happening to you, embrace what you're being asked to do, embrace the strong levels of difficulty with regards to your ego, with regards to entities that attach to your ego, with regard to all the many challenges that you'll have as an early awakening person, or a person that's been doing this. Some people, they're on an awakened path most of their life. They just don't know it. They add up their spiritual arithmetic, and it finally adds up to Kundalini. Okay, and when it adds up to that Kundalini, well, you really need to buckle down and make those changes stick. And don't let that ego, that ego will really polarize itself within you. When the Kundalini is putting pressure on the ego, that ego is going to polarize itself within you. You're going to feel like a split personality person. And you'll wonder, it's like, God, what the heck have I become? I mean, half of me wants this and half of me doesn't want that. And there's a real tug of war in the middle of me over me, and what the heck am I going to do? And I'm going to suggest you go with the Kundalini, because the Kundalini can literally turn your life into a living maelstrom of difficulties. And for those of you that don't know what a maelstrom is, that would be like a really, really harsh situation, a really harsh, elongated experience of pain. And I'm going to ask the people here in our chat room, Cole and Mary and Phil and Vince and Alettis, is the sound coming through? We got to do our little sound check here just to make sure that things are happening. If you could type a yay or a nay, I would very much appreciate that. So thank you. I see Atlantis is typing, and I appreciate that. So before I get too far into this, I just want to make sure that the sound is perfect. Thank you. All gravy, baby. Okay, sounds coming good. Thank you. All right, so as we continue, one of the major blockages to your preparation is going to be your self-discipline and the diligence of doing a practice or of adopting protocols that pretty much take over your entire waking existence. And I know that sounds really difficult, but as you're driving down the freeway, as you're shopping in the supermarket, as you're waiting in line at a to go to a theater, you can see how the safeties begin to really modulate your new expression, the new expression of life that you have in your interactions with others. You can begin to see the small things that occur between the lines, reading the words between the lines of the book, so to speak, singing the melody that only the harmonic can provide. So you're seeing that which is not normally seen anymore, and it's by virtue of the Kundalini and of the safeties that you're using to pull the Kundalini up that really allows this to occur. And if you happen to have a teacher, then that can really, if you have a teacher, then then that is no accident. I mean, how many people go, oh yeah, I have a Kundalini teacher. It's not a very common thing at all. Kundalini yoga teacher, sure. A Hatha yoga teacher, a tantric teacher, sure. Those are all fairly common. But a Kundalini awakening teacher, oh my gosh, that is not so common. And if you find yourself with a teacher, then really, really listen to what that teacher is telling you in all the myriad aspects of explanation that teacher may or may not give you. Sometimes some teachers will just kind of like give you the silent treatment for a while and make you kind of twist in the wind until you really, 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 really need to get some advice from that teacher. And then, they'll ladle out a little spoonful of advice and just enough to keep you going and just enough to keep you active and interested, and then back to the silent treatment they get. And another kind of teacher, you'll have to make that big journey. You'll have to climb that mountain, and you'll get no help. You'll get no help except from the Kundalini itself. She will push you. The Kundalini will push you up that hill, and even as you're climbing up that loose rock of the mountain, and you slip and you fall and you slide a ways down, and yet she'll help you get right back up and continue moving up that mountain. And some people will just have to make a huge pilgrimage, a great pilgrimage across a long distance of life, not just geography but life, in order to get into the presence of a teacher that can help them. And once you're there, once that you've made that long trip, you've climbed that mountain, you've come into the presence of the teacher, and the teacher has accepted you would be very, very well advised to follow what that teacher is giving you to do. And it will be hard. It will be difficult. Within Kundalini Awakening, I have a little bit of a mucus issue right now because I came out of a real dusty environment today, and so my apologies. I may have to blow my nose or sneeze too. So just so you know, if you have been given a teacher and that teacher knows what they're doing, a great dissection of your ego and of your current life experiences is going to occur. A great dissection. Certain things are going to be surgically removed, but what the teacher does is he or she will put that scalpel in your hand and say, "Okay, cut here." And that teacher will coach you how to remove a certain ideology or a certain mannerism or a certain behavior or a certain line of thinking. And that teacher will coach you how to have you yourself take it out. Very few teachers will take the easy out and just, wave their hand and go, okay, no more ego. Doesn't work very much that way, because you need to own your process. You need to own what it is you're doing. If the teacher waves their hand and takes that all away from you, well, then you won't learn as well as you should in order to go further into the Kundalini, which involves great levels of sacrifice, great levels of surrender, great levels of understanding of why you're sacrificing, why you're surrendering. So it's very important that when you get at the feet of a teacher, really, really pay attention, and it is going to shake you and really tear pieces of your ego out, and it'll be as violent as your resistance to it makes it. So if you resist, and the Kundalini is going to take a hold of that and go, no resisting, and in that no resisting, she's going to help you learn what it is not to resist. And this is true with anybody that is coming to the presence of a teacher. You don't get to just say, oh well, I've decided that I'm not going to make it in this life. I'm just going to have to wait for another life. I don't get to reach into enlightenment this life because I'm too lazy to get off my rear end and do it. I want that teacher to wave his hand over me or her hand over me and just make it as easy peasy. And I don't want to have to lift a finger. I don't want to have to do those 5 Tibetans. I don't want to have to do alternate nostril breathing. I don't want to have to do devotion. I don't want to have to do meditation. I don't want to have to do any of these things. I just want that hand to be waved over me. And for a lot of people that have the Kundalini start itself with them, and then it guides them to a teacher, well, they kind of get addicted to that whole idea that, well, Kundalini started it with me. It's just kind of, can't you just wave your hand? Can't you just like make it really, really easy for me so I don't have to do any work for it, so I don't have to earn it? I just don't feel like it. I just, General Hospital's on the TV, and I just don't want to miss this episode. Believe me, it happened. So that is a trap. That is a trap. You don't just get to bow out because of difficulty. You don't just get to say, "Oh man, I've had it." That teacher, that Chrism guy, oh my God, he is such an ogre. He is such a horrible, horrible, horrible man. Oh, no, forget it, man. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna work at a donut shop. I think I have a donut shop career that's just waiting for me. And you get free donuts with that donut shop career. I mean, especially if you're making them, you can sequester one aside with extra sprinkles, as I saw on a sign in Ireland. Extra sprinkles? Yes, ma'am. So it's very important that you reach into yourself and you do the due diligence, you do the work, and you do it continuously all the time. Because for those of you that are really in this continuum, that is, this path is really, really on you and in you and calling to you and making you work and do these things slowly, and I've mentioned this in other programs. I think it just deserves a mention again. Is that you're going to be put into a box, and the walls are just going to start walking themselves towards you. So the ceiling starts to come down on your head, and the floor starts moving towards the ceiling, and the 4 walls around you start scooting you in, and pretty soon you're in this pressurized box that just contains your Kundalini, you, and the teacher, and what that teacher wants you to do in order to accept greater and stronger levels of Kundalini. How that pressures you. And it will go into every aspect of your life. It will turn your life upside down. And you will pay. You will pay, and you will pay. You will pay with tears. You will pay with sweat. You will pay with finances. You won't pay with blood, because the blood is very, very precious to the Kundalini. It's that sang royal, the royal blood. And that royal blood, she's going to keep that pushing through your veins. She's holding that for part of the infusion into you. The Kundalini travels the blood, and where the blood goes, the Kundalini goes. So you won't have to pay too much with blood, because that's very, very, very sacred. And you'll pay in your taboos. You'll pay in your fears. And all of these things will come up for you to really look at, to really take stock of, and to really begin to change towards a focus to the Kundalini, a giving of your life, a giving of the control of your life to the Kundalini. There is no greater purpose for life in the human form upon this world right now. As I've said in some other posts on Facebook or Yahoo, Kundalini is the top of the triangle. If you look on that American $1 bill, and you'll see that pyramid on the back, and you'll see that all-seeing eye that's floating right above that pyramid, well, that's the Kundalini. That's the Kundalini. And however many dollars, American dollars, that you have in your bank account, in your wallet right now, or stashed away wherever you keep your money, is how many symbols of Kundalini you have in your life. Kundalini is the top of the pyramid in our life expression upon this world. And you have reached it. Alana Seeker, Mary, Phil, Vince, Cole, you've all reached it. You're there. Eileen and Joey and Rosemary and Brooke, you're there. Santara, well, we're still working on that one a little bit. I mean, she's there, and she's on the beach, and she's there, and then she's on. No, I'm just kidding. Santara, of course, is there as well. And for those of you that are listening in the archives, for those of you that are listening on your computer right now, if you've heard the word Kundalini, if you're hearing my voice right now, which is carrying Kundalini upon it, you're getting there. You're approaching these areas. For a real narcissist, hearing me say, "Well, Kundalini is the top of the pyramid." Well, a real narcissist, well, then I guess I must have the Kundalini because I'm at the top of my pyramid, and it's just not that at all. It is not about self-aggrandizement. And so, if you're a narcissistic person and you're saying, "Well, geez, I did Kundalini last summer; it was pretty cool. Now what?" Now what means that you have to change that narcissistic behavior, that you have to change the behavior that points to you instead of pointing to that which is within you, to that which is at the base of your spine, in the last three vertebrae, dormant for however many millennia it has been dormant for you, that narcissistic person. Now it's time for you to look at service. Now it's time to look for you. How do you help other people? And it's not helping them by being Mr. Magician. Oh, I have the Kundalini now. I shall lift the car out from under thee and pull thee out with my psychokinetic powers. No, that's just more self-aggrandizement. You don't do that. So for those of you that are listening in the archives, hello, 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 and welcome. For those of you that are listening on your computer and on your cell phone or wherever you may be, hello, hello, and welcome. And I want you to understand that you can call into this program. This program is New York area code 347-934-0026. And yes, I know that even though I live in Santa Rosa, California, the Blog Talk Radio is based in New York, and so they have that New York area code 347, and the number is 934-0026. So just so you know about that. Now, with regards to preparation, and we have been brought up to really know that if you study for a test, you're more likely to pass that test if you crack the book on how to spell sphygmomanometer. If you know what a sphygmomanometer is, and you know what it does, and if you break the word apart, sphygmomanometer, you should be able to spell it. But if you don't crack the book and you hear the word sphygmomanometer, you just kind of go, "Whoa, do I have to spell that?" And so it's very important for people to do a bit of preparation. And if you've been led to this information, if you've been led to the safeties, and if you've been led to even hearing my voice, which is now triggering elements within your body right now, whether you're in the archives, whether you're just listening on your computer, or you're here in the chat room, or you're listening on your telephone, it's time for you to start preparing. This is not accidental. It is not an accident that you're hearing these words, that you're feeling and you're getting the energy through the voice. It is not accidental for you to do this. And one of the things that you might find is when you've received, and this is fairly common within the Kundalini continuum, when you've received a jolt of Kundalini, it will push you. It will give you an energetic push, and whatever you happen to be feeling at that time, if you're happening to feel very loving at that moment, well, you'll have a wave of just really strong love come upon you. If you're feeling really self-aggrandizing at the time, well, then you'll really, really, really love yourself even more. The narcissist. If you're feeling bad, well, you can feel worse. You can feel into a depressive mode. But there will always be a patina. There will be some kind of a patina of opportunity to leave that depressive mode, and this is typical with the Kundalini, because even though depression may have to be visited at times, it is not a place that the Kundalini will continuously leave a person in unless that person is being put through the polishing process taking off their rough edges and turning that diamond in the rough into a jewel, into a crystal clear, beautiful jewel. And that will involve, some difficult experiences for that person to do that. And so it's very, very, very important that you take heed. You take heed of what is happening to you. You don't just sit back and in your easy chair, turn on General Hospital, which is a soap opera for those of you that don't know, and watch the TV or play around on the computer, look out your window at the beautiful scenery, and just kind of sit there and go, well, okay, I hear Chrism here on the radio, and I know he's live, and I'm getting his Kundalini right now. I'm getting a vocal pat, I guess, if you might want to call it that. And I don't have to lift a finger now. Well, you do have to lift that finger. And you don't get off so easy. I want to go back a little bit to what I was saying about just putting it off for this life. You don't get to put anything off for this life. You don't even get to decide. When you review your life after you've passed, when you review your life, an insane amount of sadness and remorsefulness can come over a soul who has seen that they have been given a great opportunity to have divinity in the living flesh, the Word made flesh, enlightenment upon the flesh. They've had that opportunity and they passed it up because of what? Laziness? Because of what? They were too in love with themselves as they've always known themselves to be. They weren't willing to change. Seriously, folks, save yourself from that torment. And you know the word Kundalini. You're hearing the voice. You're feeling the Kundalini come into you. Really, really, really begin to dance to the tune that the Kundalini is playing for you on her magical little Krishna flutes. Let her help you into your ascendancy. A life isn't there to be wasted. Time is not there to just be taken advantage of. Because you live in a country where everything can be had by you, all your basic needs can be had, doesn't mean that you stop striving. You must continue to stretch yourself. You must continue to live in a way that allows you to expand and to transform and to grow. This is not about stagnation. And some of you right now are experiencing stagnation. You've got a certain amount of money coming to you every month. You've got your home, your trailer, your apartment, your flat, whatever it is. You've got that taken care of. You've got the electrics taken care of, the sewer, the water. You got that taken care of. You know what you like to eat, so you got that taken care of. And basically, you've got your computer, and you've got your nice view, and you've got your couch, you got your comfortable surroundings, and there you are, kind of like a golden prison if you make it into that. If you have all your needs taken care of, well, then you don't need to do anything. You can just sit there. Because even meditation takes a level of trying. Even meditation. You have to sit down and try to clear your mind. Granted, you're not lifting barbells with your biceps or anything like that, but you have to sit and you have to focus on things. You have to have a certain level of mindfulness. And if you have a teacher that's giving you harsh commands to follow or teachings to follow, then you must follow those things. You must not allow your ego or the entities attached to your ego to begin to distort or call into action a different response to your teacher. So if your teacher says, I want you to paint that fence green, you don't go out and paint it red. It's that simple. You paint it green. And the specific shade of green that teacher wants you to paint it. So it's very important that you pay attention and that you let yourself be given into this. Do not stand in your way. Do not stand in your own way. All that is going to do is elongate the difficult processes that you may already be within. Even if you're in that golden cage, you've got all your cares taken care of. Everything that you need is there, except it's not inside you. It's all around and outside of you, and you're able to shovel food in and dump the the metabolite out. But there's that empty spot within. And for those of you that are in that tight little box, you know what I'm talking about. You have to do certain things. You must do certain things. Some of you don't have as big a choice as others. Some of you can be sitting in that nice golden cage and, put your feet up on the table, turn General Hospital on or whatever show you like, and, have your little banana daiquiri right next to you and then watch that TV and go, oh yeah, Kundalini Schmundalini. I've got General Hospital on and nothing beats that. Others of you have it far worse. You won't even get to have a TV. And you will be compelled and compelled and compelled to do the work. It's not like anybody's getting away. Called Kundalini. Walls of self-protection are also walls of self-imprisonment. Well, that's right. And I'm sorry that the guru is sad, but I think, he should rename himself the Happy Guru, because, that's true. And when you give yourself, when you overprotect yourself, you do imprison yourself, and this is very important. And I would just really, really like to let you know that if you just start to practice the safeties, let that teach you first, and then if you do encounter a flesh teacher in your life, or there's someone that can do this within your life, then you pay attention. You pay attention to the point of no return, because that's exactly what it is, my friends. Kundalini is a no-return scenario, i.e., you never get to go back to the way you were. The genie does not go back into the bottle. Once it's up, once it's out, then it is up and out forever and ever and ever, and it will follow you into death. It will follow you. Grace will follow you. It is beyond the parameters of temporal timelines. It will follow you into death, and it will follow you into your next life, if that is to be given for you, your next life. If you're not so busy watching General Hospital, and you die, and you go to this weird perversion of the reality you just died from, where General Hospital is on all the time. Maybe that's a heaven for some people. I don't know. Maybe it's a level of purgatory. Who knows? But yeah, Kundalini will follow you into these areas. Okay? So if you have a question about this, the number is New York area code 347-934-0026. And I am going to bring the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts online. And we all know who that is. Our beloved Centaura. Let's just give her a little time to run to the computer from where she currently is, watching General Hospital. And here we go. Hello, Centaura.
Can you hear me?
More sprinkles? More sprinkles? Yes, ma'am.
We don't get.
Have you seen that billboard?
Here.
Did you see that billboard?
I have not. No, and I don't remember it while we were traveling either, so that's funny.
Yeah, it was near the airport. It's like, this little Irish 10-year-old going, more sprinkles? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No high fructose corn syrup addiction there, eh?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm here.
Hi, here.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going well. I mean, obviously, everything you're talking about, I totally and absolutely resonate with. That is me.
Well,
I mean, first of all, the safeties do
that
take over your whole existence.
How does that relate to your current situation? Oh my God, there's a little bit of a lag here.
Yeah, there is. Well, first of all, as I was saying there, the safeties do take over your whole existence, as indeed the Kundalini does. Yeah, and I mean, when my Kundalini awakened and when I came to find you, Chrism, on the website, it was my Kundalini guided me to Chrism. And, you know, from the first moment I read his teachings or your teachings, they really resonated with me. And I wasn't looking for a teacher at all. I mean, I had, you know, I didn't even know a teacher was necessary, really, for me. I had no desire for one, but the Kundalini had other plans. And very, very soon, I knew that she wanted me to ask Chrism to be my teacher. So, and not in a general way, you know, the way you can have a teacher in different ways. You can have a teacher that, you know, you read his teachings and you say, oh, that's a wonderful teacher, and I take his teachings on board and that. But it wasn't like that. It was much more than that, you know. Like what you were talking about, Chrism, about, you know, the Kundalini wanted me to give control to the Kundalini and surrender to the Kundalini, but also the Kundalini wanted me to do this with a Kundalini teacher, which was you. And yeah, that's not easy. But it is the best thing that one can do if that's what the Kundalini wants to do. And retrospectively now, you know, years and years, some years have passed, and I can't imagine how I could have, I just can't imagine. I mean, I really know why the Kundalini, why this was necessary for me to have a teacher. And I'm just so glad that I obeyed the Kundalini and that, you know, that I follow and obey, you know, your instructions too. And I will always paint the fence green.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know, when you have a teacher that's on the coldest, most stormy night that you can have, commands you to go naked into the forest and meditate on an ancient wall, you know, waiting for wild animals to come up to you or whatever, or has you do a Tibetan chode ceremony out into the forest where you basically, you know, one arm is tied to a tree and each leg is tied to a tree, and you're waiting. And you're basically doing Kundalini things. This is all while the hail or the snow or the rain or the wind is pelting down upon you. Little tree branches are falling all around you. The wind is roaring. The temperature is low. What happens to you during those moments, Amelia?
Well, first of all, nobody believes you.
What?
No. People probably don't believe that you would ask a student to do that.
I remember. Have I asked you to do that?
Yes, you have. And if I can just say, you know, before, you know, around the time that I asked you to be my teacher, I remember asking myself before I committed to that, and it was a contract. I knew that I was, you know, entering into something that was very sacred. And I remember asking myself, is there any instruction that Chrism would give me that I would not do? Or maybe you asked me that, I can't remember. And I said to myself, you know, well, Chrism would never ask me to do something that was too way out there, so I'll probably always be able to do whatever he asks of me. And my innocence was soon informed differently, Chrism, because I learned that you would ask me to do things like you just described, things that I wouldn't have wanted to do or that I couldn't have imagined you asking me to do. And I suppose the bottom line is I obeyed. I did it.
What did you receive from these things?
Oh, Chrism, it's so hard to explain. First of all, I suppose I want to say something about that word obedience, because if you tell somebody to paint a fence, or if you tell somebody to go into the forest as you have instructed me to do on the coldest of nights, it's a way that deepens my surrender to the Kundalini. I mean, obedience, it's a method of bypassing my ego.
See, this is very important. I'm glad you brought that up, Santar, because it's a huge teaching for people. It's you'll be given a very, very difficult teaching, something that goes far beyond your ego, or what isn't appropriate. And you do the effect of the ego on the individual.
Chrism? Chrism?
Yes?
Chrism, can you just check with the guys there, are you still okay and being heard? Because you're breaking up on me. I heard none of that.
Oh, Atlantis, Mary Jean, Phil, Vincent,
Oh, you're
Cole.
back again.
Well, let me just repeat what I said. Sound is breaking a little too. Let me see. Better now. I'm just going to back away.
You're back. It's perfect again, Chrism. It was one of those glitches.
Really? It's okay now?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, thank you. Well, okay. I just want to say that as you're able to follow the instructions, hey, feel free to write there in the chat room if I'm breaking up, and I'll try to make an adjustment with the mic here. As you're able to manifest the instruction from the teacher, as you're able to go out into the forest, or to go swimming in that freezing lake, or to appropriate in our society. Yeah, I heard that too. Amelia, don't move around, okay? You're moving around or something. Oh, wow. Choppy again, huh?
Yeah, it was.
You're coming in real clear.
I'm not actually moving around, Chrism, but you're back again normally now.
All right, I'll just try to keep everything at this point here. So as you're following the instructions, and you're doing all these very, very difficult things that the teacher, the Kundalini, will have you do, as you do this, and you do this over and over, but even if you just do it for the first time, if it's a very, very strong teaching, like going out on the coldest night of the year with wind and hail and rain and into a dark forest, and tying yourself to a tree and screaming at the top of your lungs, a mantra or a chant or a word, or just to scream. As you do these types of things, you bypass that ego resistance, and a level of serenity can descend upon you. Have you had that serenity, Santara?
Oh, yes, Chrism. I mean, it's amazing how that happens, because, the obedience and the surrender nourishes my obedience to the Kundalini. So when I go out and I do as I've been instructed to do, what actually happens out there in the wild wind inside in the middle of the forest is a connection to my Kundalini, and a joy, and a communion, really. It is serenity. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing to do, to actually follow instructions such as that. It removes authority from my ego, and you see, the thing about it is you have to make the choice that you're going to do it, so that when the instruction comes, you have already made the free will choice that you're going to follow that instruction. So there is no debate with my ego when you give me such instructions. Do you know what I mean? It's like instantly I will do that. So ego doesn't get the opportunity at all to have a debate with me as to whether or not it's okay. because I have already made that free will choice that I am going to follow the instructions, that I am going to surrender to my teacher, and in that way am I surrendering to the Kundalini.
And that's exactly right. As you surrender to the teaching or the teacher, that is the only reason you're doing it, is to increase the surrender to the Kundalini. But she knows, the Kundalini knows, that it's one thing to surrender to an invisible force, and that can actually be quite frightening. If you're getting tossed around the room, slammed against the walls, if your bed is being lifted up and slammed down, I mean, that can be an amazingly frightening experience. Amazingly frightening. But when you have a flesh teacher sitting in front of you saying, okay, I want you to say the mantra in turn, or I want you to go out into the forest. I want you to dive into that ice-cold stream that's right above freezing, and I want you to stay there until I tell you to come out of it. And you follow that. You're obedient to that. That really, really, really changes the inner paradigm of who is in charge. And as you allow that teacher to take charge of your life, to take charge of your Kundalini, to take charge of your soul, so does the Kundalini fill in everything. It colors the entire life. And it's so important to do. It's so amazingly important to do that, especially when you're in that tight little box. For those of you that are in that tight little box where it's just like, it's just closing in on you. It reminds me of that Star Wars, in the first Star Wars movie, when they fall into that garbage area and then the walls start to close in like a garbage compactor. It's like that. It's like that, except she's compacting all of the garbage that your ego has brought into your body out of you. You've got to really make this commitment, this choice, and make it stick. Don't let yourself go back on it. Don't let yourself go back on it. And, there are many, many different ways that the Kundalini will approach this. If one way fails, well, then she'll try a different way. And pain is one of those options. That is always an option that the Kundalini will have for you. And I experienced so much pain. Oh, my gosh. And it's not pain that you can put a bandage on. It's not pain that works with aloe vera. It's not a pain that that you can ice away the pain. It's a constant throbbing, inside out, heartbreak pain. You really need to understand that. Are you breathing heavily, Santara?
Sorry.
Oh my God. This is a G-rated program. I just want you to know we're not leading into anything else. I promise. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring Rosemary on. She has some announcements. So I'll put you in the Shiva Blue, my dear. And hello, Rosemary. Hello.
Hello, Chrism. Happy Wednesday afternoon to you.
Thank you. You as well.
Yes, and the announcement is coming very soon. What today is 4th, so it's 10 days. 10 days from today, we'll be sitting in the seminar room with you, and some of those who registered are listening, and others who haven't registered yet, and we will see them. And if you're thinking about it, I think if you're on the fence and you're listening to what Chrism is saying, there's a yes for you in here for sure. And give me a call, 651-452-3161 or 651-329-9615 or rosemaryg@usinternet.com. And our seminar is in Eagan, in the Best Western, as we have been the last 2 seminars.
Dakota Ridge.
Yes. And I'm thinking about people now who have already made that decision and where Kundalini is speaking to them and leading them and guiding them. And I honor that process. And I know, looking back, that what was going on for me, I wasn't conscious of it, but it was truly just being led. So thank you.
Well, now, is there any kind of an expo or anything like that coming up?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's on the floor here right in front of me, and that's my next thing, is getting that ready. There is here in Minnesota, and a lot of people have read about it and also read in the Edge, Chrism, that you're speaking there Saturday at 3 p.m., and we're at booth 83 at the Edge Expo, the largest in the city of this kind of work. So I'm really happy we're doing this. Last year I didn't know enough to know when this was or this is important, but I'm really delighted, and that you'll be coming soon to be speaking there, and other places too after. That's 7th and 8th, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, and in a couple places in Minneapolis, and one in Mankato that I talked with them today, and we just set that all up, and Eileen made a flyer for them, and they are all very excited there about your coming. And can I tell them about the sisters?
Yes.
There's a group of sisters, and they're in a retirement home, and very well and attentive, and I showed the film to them because I had one of them that I knew fairly well. And so it occurred to me, I really would like Chrism to meet them and for them to meet him. So I stopped by yesterday to see my friend, Sister Linda, and we have it set up for Friday in the afternoon, and it will be, my mind is clicking away in things that you just said this evening here about how that would so fit the sisters and their life of commitment to a life of prayer and dedication, and what you will have to share with them. That's exciting.
I hope so. I hope they're not falling asleep while I'm speaking. It has happened, though.
No, I don't think so. When I showed the film, there were a couple there in their 90s. Nobody fell asleep. But also, when they were leaving, one of them said, "Oh my, I haven't had such good stimulation for many years."
Well, we'll just stop there. It's a G-rated show.
No. But that was interesting. I mean, I was glad that she found it interesting because I don't know them. I only know my friend Linda.
Well, it'll be an honor to meet the sisters and to really relate to them. Because I can. The Kundalini comes right through Christianity, and when she says sisters, she's meaning sisters of the cloth, otherwise known as nuns.
Yes.
So I will be under the calculated stare of a Mother Superior, more than one actually, because Rosemary.
Oh no, I don't think so. You could ask them. That'd be a good question to ask. They may have. This community is the Sisters of St. Joseph, and long before there were changes made in the church, they were very active in living a simple life. They were not pompous, I would say. Well,
that's good. That's good. They didn't fly around with cool hats, right?
No, not those big ones, and they had very simple things just on their own.
Well, I do really, and I'm glad you set that up, and I'm glad you set the Mankato thing up too. And I just want to really offer to you my gratitude and appreciation, Rosemary, for the amount of work and organizing that you put into this. Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing. I'll be leaving 3 a.m. this morning to get to the airport, and I'll be taking off at 9:45 and going to Wisconsin. I think my very first experience in Wisconsin.
Yes.
And catching another airplane to Minnesota.
Yes.
So I look forward to seeing you probably a little later this time tomorrow in Central Time in the central United States. So thank you, Rosemary. Thank you for those. And go ahead and give your number and your website again, if you would.
Yes, 651-452-3161, 651-329-9615. And my email is rosemaryg@usinternet.com.
And I want to say a fond thank you to Joey as well, who has been a very, very helpful component of your organization up there as well. Thank you, Joey.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And I'm going to come back to Her Holiness in Ireland. There she is. Hello, Her Holiness. It's still spinning, so don't talk yet. Are you there?
I'm here. Has it stopped?
Yes, you should be good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make the announcement then about where people can go if they would like to make a donation. And a donation supports the work that Chrism does, supports Kundalini Awakening Systems, and all donations are really gratefully received. You can go to www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, or you can go to www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. And there you will find donate buttons. Yes?
I want you to keep talking. There's a little piece of writing that I want to go get and read. So keep it going. Tap dance, my dear.
Okay, tap dancing. So you can actually go there if you want to make a donation. And again, as I say every week, these donations are, while, they're necessary without a doubt and gratefully received. Please, if you're in a position to do so, that's fine. But if you're not, there is no pressure whatsoever for you to do that. Thank you very much for listening, and I shall continue to tap dance. So I'll just say something more maybe that, about Kundalini and a teacher and having a teacher. And I know from the work that I have done with Chrism, I know, from that work that every step of this path is, and it's a path of surrender, is a union with the Kundalini in me and the Kundalini in my teacher. And I think that, that those who are guided to do this really listen. And if I can do this, if I can walk this path, well, then I feel any of you can walk it as well. There's divine grace in it, and it awaits people. And if you can embrace it, you will be so glad. You will be so thankful. You will be so filled with joy to give this control to the Kundalini, and also to give this control to the teacher, which is an amazing blessing on the path. Are you there yet, Chrism? Okay, I'm still tap dancing, guys. I was going to say, well, I won't. I'll keep that for another time. I'll just give the website again. It's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and the other one is www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, and the donate button is there, and please feel free to press it. Are you back, Chrism?
I is back. Thank you.
Now, that was tap dancing.
I just want to ask you, I have some questions now. I want to ask everybody here, and I want to read something here. It's really, it's well written. I did not write this, but in the central places of your heart, where you have been barren, and you have thought that you were supposed to fill that place, and in the attempts to cover those places, you have arrogantly been an imposter. Being the imposter, you have been insecure, and your desperation has caused you to worship you know not what. Is it that beneath your strategies and behind your veneer, you fear to come into the Kundalini fire? If that you truly let go, you will be left with less than what you currently hold? Do you feel you are too busy to surrender? Busy in mind, busy in heart, busy in action to surrender the substance of your heart and to let it be freed so that you may dance with your beloved? Do you think your concept of who you are is greater than the reality, the Kundalini reality? Do you think your concept of what you have is greater than what the Kundalini miraculous would give through you? Can you release the worship of your ego, your concepts of what that would mean? Can you cease the demand to receive that which you think you are entitled? Did you not think that the reality of that which you were born to be would not be more than you could ever imagine? And that the reality of that which you should provide is immense beyond your current ability to comprehend? Can you release the structures of your pride, those areas that you have held that have bound you in separation? Can you offer yourself in humility, in the fullness of devotion? Have you found the areas in yourself with honesty that have kept you at variance with offering the quality of the surrender required? How willing and how open and how yielded have you been to give your life to the Kundalini? For she will show you the reality of you as soon as you agree that you had not known that reality, i.e., get your ego out of the way. And when you are ready to move into the fire from the far-off places where you have been, she has yet many things to say to you and many blessings to reveal through you. You see, folks, it's not all about what is being done to you. I mean, granted, in this program we're talking about preparation. We're talking about giving the control of your life to the Kundalini. And what that person wrote was absolutely right on target. These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself. These are the questions that need to be answered within yourself. These are the questions that hold the opportunity of the miraculous within them. When you're able to give yourself in these ways, when you're able to answer these questions in the way that supports the Kundalini within you, then there is nothing that stands in your way to full-on enlightenment. Fully enlightened. Like Yogananda, like Ramakrishna, like Jesus, like Mary Magdalene, like Buddha, like Allah. These are the questions that you want to ask within yourself. And so I suggest that you rewind this in the archives and you ask these questions of yourself. You ask these questions and you allow the virtuosity of that which came through the individual who wrote this paper, that wrote those questions, and you allow her Kundalini to reach into you. As she herself answers those very same questions within herself. This is a big deal. You've been given a great outline of the questions to ask. It's like with Google, you know, the quality of your answer, the quality of your search is going to depend on the quality of your question that you ask. The quality of the question that you seek an answer to, and as you put it into a search engine, that quality of the question is going to be reflected in the answers that you receive. Well, same here. The quality of the answers that you give those questions will reflect within you the quality of your surrender and your openness to the Kundalini and to a teacher that she may have assigned you to. All right, my dear Amelia, do you have any questions that you may have collected?
Yes, I do. Okay, first question, and that was beautiful. Thank you, Chrism, and thank you to the Kundalini person who wrote it.
Thank you.
I was wondering if my Kundalini activation may have attracted an entity, because sometimes I feel that my hair is being pulled. Not hard, but very noticeable. Or is this just another K symptom? If it is an entity having fun pulling my hair, I am hopeful that there is a way to send it on its way.
Having your hair pulled or having somebody dance on your head, or the feeling of that, is a fairly common Kundalini response. Nothing to be upset about. You'll often feel little feet dancing on your head, or of course the zips and the zaps through the scalp that will actually move the hair. The hair does have mobility. There are motor nerves that are associated with hair follicles that will allow the hair to whip around, especially when it's engaged with like say an electrostatic energy. But certainly within the Kundalini awakening symptomology, having your hair tugged at or pulled is now not pulled excessively hard. I'm working with a person right now, and sometimes, when I pull the hair, there's a certain quality of pulling the hair that releases lymph. Into and the lymph streams down the face and streams down the neck and streams down the back of the head, and that's a different type of deal. But the Kundalini may do that itself as well. The Kundalini may tug and pull at that hair follicle, or a whole grouping of those hair follicles. So it is part of the process. Now, if it's being pulled really hard, painfully, that's a different deal, and that could be more attributable to an entity. And all you have to do is really just put your hands together and clear run your hair through your hands. Okay, and that begins to clear any kind of a contact. Or take a shower. Run your head under the cold water, and that can also take away the ability of an entity to pull on the hair in such a way. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. I have 2, maybe 3 questions from one person, so I'm going to read them out separately. But the next one will be from the same person. Okay, first question. I have noticed that my vision has altered. I'm seeing 2D pictures in 3D. All colors are very vivid and sometimes overwhelming. I would close my eyes too, often to evade the feeling. I used to have hearing problems, but now I have noticed that my hearing has become better. All my physical senses seem to be on fire, and it can be a little uncomfortable. Is this okay?
That is absolutely okay. That is Kundalini. Kundalini has the amplification that can really bring those colors out, that can really bring the sound in. It can also initiate healings on the inner workings of the sense organs, such as the ear, the tongue, the nose, the eyes, the touch. It can bring healings to those areas if there are deficiencies in those areas, and especially if a healing has occurred, well, then that's going to come out as an amplified version of itself as well. Over.
Okay. This is a bit longer, Chrism. Same person. After being an extremely energetic, social, hard-working medical student, I changed a lot. My life has become total spirituality, and I'm very far from being practical anymore. I can't sit around for people for long or focus on anything else. I love the feeling, and I know that we are born for being so. But am I doing it wrong? I'm ready to lose everything for him, but I wouldn't dare to take such a drastic step because I'm keeping myself realistic, for that's the way the world defines being realistic. But I feel this urge to just let go of everything and dedicate all my time to him. Is it wrong to think this way? Any suggestions of what the rule says? Are these fleeting emotions because I'm new to this experience, or is there more yet to come? Thank you.
Well, there's definitely more yet to come, but no, I would not mistake treating him in that way. I would treat the Kundalini in that way, but not unless this person is a corporeal teacher. That would be a different scenario. But I think what the person may be doing is feeling adopting a person, like a potential lover, or potential person like that in their life as a progenitor of the Kundalini symptoms, rather than just going straight to the source, the Kundalini, and advocating that as the source of the symptoms in their life. And I would give.
Oh, I thought, if I may interrupt, I was assuming that they meant God in a hymn way, Maybe not.
Okay. No. If that's the case, then of course, then yeah, direct your attention to the sacred male deity, or the sacred feminine deity as well. I mean, yeah, sure. If that's the case, then that's a different scenario. Completely. And yes, give your life over to God. Give your life to the divine. Give your attention. Give your grace. Give your love. Give the control. This is what I was saying at the beginning. It's a really good question, because it dovetails really with what we were talking about at the beginning. Really, really, really begin to give you the control of your life to that divine expression within you. And that divine expression will guide you. Just make sure that it is that way for you. I mean, you'll know when you feel purity, you will know what purity is, and purity will make itself known to you that way.
So the person having this urge to let go of everything and dedicate all their time to Kundalini, they're asking, is it wrong to think this way?
No. Mm-hmm. It's good. But if they have a family,
they're a student. They're a medical student.
I know who this is. Oh. No, but also look at the bigger picture too. How many people could a medical doctor, Kundalini awakened, help and assist? How many healings could be given? How much of a great change in the paradigm of medicine could occur through that one individual, that one enlightened individual, that one enlightened MD. And by serving people in this way, you serve the Kundalini in that way as well. So very, very, so when she says, dedicating her life to the service of God, the service of Kundalini, well, then you serve the Kundalini by reaching as many people as you can and helping intimate with their surgeries, with their illnesses, with their understandings of life that may have brought on the illness in the first place. I mean, just by standing next to the bed, they can turn around a heart attack patient.
Yeah.
Somebody come home there?
Let's pretend your hearing is very, very alert.
Your
was a creaking.
Your microphone.
No, that was a creaking floorboard you heard.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Okay. Are you walking around? Are you pacing? What are you doing?
No, that was John walking through the room for 2 seconds.
There you go. Hello, John.
Yeah. So he'll be walking back again soon. There he goes now. Okay.
Next question.
Are we ready for the next question? Okay.
Yes.
Of all the things that have fallen away or burn away, the feeling of love being suspended is difficult. I am assuming that it will return in another way or expression. I know I love my family, but any warm sensation of former love feelings is now on an intellectual level. No sentiments of a floral hallmark card. I'm hoping for it to be upgraded as this advances. Can you comment on that?
Yes, yes, it will be upgraded, it will be changed, it will be transformed, and that feeling of love will leave the Valentine, fourth grade romance zone that most people are raised to associate love with, and come into a very expanded format, a hugely universal format. And so, yes, this will occur. Over.
Oh, okay. There was something written the other day on the group. It was a quote, and there was a really interesting discussion. So I'm going to give the quote, and will you speak about it, please, Chrism? The quote is, "The magic of any true spiritual teaching is that it doesn't take away from the practicality of living a human life."
Yeah, that quote is purposely put there. It's an incorrect quote. It is not the way that quote says. Practicalities are not necessarily part of the Kundalini agenda. And what constitutes a practicality? Well, that would be an ego judgment on what is easy. Typically, practical things are easy things that 1 + 1 = 2. But sometimes 1 + 1 = railroad tracks. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 11. It's not always the same practical manner that quote is suggesting. The Kundalini will turn your world upside down, and it will not seem practical at all whatsoever until you figure out, or she allows you to figure out, what is going on. Practicality in the mundane sense is not practicality in the semi-enlightened sense. It's not the same thing. And so I remember that quote, and it is not about chopping wood and hauling water the same way that one always has. It's about doing it in a vastly different way, within a vastly different environment, with vastly different needs, and that is where the level of simplicity and ease is taken away. Because one must learn a new way, a new understanding of practicality will filter into that person, and that is the nexus of that quote, and why it would, and the context that it was quoted in as well. And I see that Santara has dropped off, and so the scenario is very simple: is you don't get to do things the way you always did. You don't always get to use a small hand axe to cut that wood. You don't get to always use a bucket to collect that water. Sometimes you'll have to use a sponge. And is that practical? Well, it's practical if you're collecting water from plants. It's not practical so much if you're trying to take water from a hole in the ground or a solar still. It's not practical if you've got a family of 4 that needs to wash, that you have to dip that sponge in the well, but a bucket is practical. But you may not be given the practical option, and so you don't want to think that that's it's a very spiritual sounding quote. You're basically saying, well, you got to chop wood and haul the water. Well, with Kundalini, you don't necessarily have to chop wood or haul water. Sometimes it's just given to you. Okay, it's a different paradigm than what a lot of our current understandings are with regard to, happy, joy, New Age spiritualism. They love to use that. Well, you've got to chop wood, you got to haul water, you got to keep doing these things. And that's true. You do have to do the work. I'm not saying that you don't have to do the work, but what happens when the work does you? What happens when the path begins to walk you? And then tell me, in that instance, where is the hauling wood and the chopping the water? I guess we could talk about ice that way. Where is that when the path is walking you? Where is the practicality of human mental endeavor when the Kundalini starts to tell you how to live your life, starts to tell you how to make your life work, starts to begin to tell you what it is that constitutes your life and how that life is affected, what happens then? You see, I'm suggesting that that is not a correct quote for Kundalini people. Maybe it's a correct quote for the hardworking Buddhist or the hardworking Christian or the hardworking Islam. You got to read the Quran, you've got to read the Bible, you got to read the Bhagavad Gita, you got to read the Eightfold Path, and you've got to practice the Eightfold Path if you're a Buddhist, and you've got to do the work. So in the pre-awakened phase, I would say that quotation is very, very appropriate. Got to read the scriptures. Got to practice the 10 Commandments if you're a Christian. Okay, you got to do that. You got to walk that talk. But when you're in the Kundalini zone, the Kundalini continuum is very different. Very, very, very different. But part of that would be, in the Kundalini context, it would be surrendering yourself to the Shakti. It would be surrendering yourself to your teacher. It would be surrendering the control of your life to the Kundalini, like that other person has, the one that's the student in the medical school. That would be part of hauling water, chopping wood, but in a big way. It's like hauling an ocean, and chopping I hate to say a forest because I don't really support that, but chopping a lot of wood. Okay. So there you are, Santara. So you're back. Welcome back. Put you in the red here. There you are. Okay. I got time for one last one. I'm gonna cut this a half hour short because I've got to get ready to pack for Minnesota tonight. So.
Okay, Chrism. Every time I eat, I feel panicky. It makes me confused and very, very disorientated. I have been strict on food choices, and I'm basically eating all natural, healthy foods. I feel like my Kundalini energy, if that's what it is agitated and ready to plunge me into some higher level of spirituality or consciousness or some other world or dimension. So I become worried again about my sanity, although I am confidently reassured by what people have said to me the other day. So what am I to do? Am I to eat minimal amount of food or what?
Follow the compulsion that the Kundalini is giving you. That's what you do. Eat what the Kundalini wants you to eat, not what your ego wants you to eat or what family and friends expect you to eat. You follow the Kundalini course of events. That's the main thing, not your ego, and not the ego of other people. Okay?
Okay then. Well, we're done.
I'm sorry to cut it short, but I'm running out of daylight here. And I just want to thank you everybody, Atlantis and the guests, and Mary and Phil and Vincent and Cole. Thank you very much, Joey. Rosemary and Eileen and Santara, thank you very, very much for joining us today. And the next show will be from the great state of Minnesota in the central United States. And listen to this again, my friends. Listen to this program again and again and again. Listen to this one over and over and over. It's very important that you be able to answer those questions to yourself. I want to thank you. Amelia, any last words?
No, Chrism, just to say bon voyage on your journey.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I will leave you with a very, very special gift. And here it comes.